Hello, and welcome to the Gaia update for the full moon in Aquarius that happens on August 3rd, 2020. I'm Adrienne Elise. Well, this is a very powerful full moon because it comes on the heels of a 4-month retrograde eclipse season that we're just trying to get a sense of what's going on. And this full moon in Aquarius says this is what's going on. We're trying to move into a new age. And this full moon in Aquarius is kind of like, okay, where are we at in this process? What is really going on? What are we really doing? It's a reminder that this is about a bigger energy, a bigger shift of ages, way beyond what we can comprehend is trying to happen on the planet right now. As part of the energy of this full moon is like, okay, you guys, yes, you just went into hell realms, with the retrograde season and all that. But it's because we're trying to completely shift out of the old and into something completely new. Okay, so let's look at this because this full moon happens at 11 degrees Aquarius, and that means that it's almost exactly square. The full moon is when the sun and the moon are opposite each other in the sky, right? So the moon is getting the full sun. It's a reflection of the sun in opposite signs. So the sun is in Leo and the moon will be in Aquarius. What that means is that for this full moon, they're making almost exact square to Uranus and Taurus. So these are the fixed signs of the zodiac, and this is a fixed T-square that's being created in the sky. And so we are looking at now the fixed energy is, the Aquarian energy is fixed. The fixed energies are about completions, are about seeing things through, about stability. And so I guess we're trying to stabilize, but also fixed energies can get a little stuck. But maybe it's refreshing after all this mutability where we're flying around and we don't know who we are and where we are and where we're going with all the mutable energy, with the Pisces and all the Neptune transits and the Venus retrograde in Gemini. So now this fixed energy is what are we actually trying to do here? What is this actually about? Let's get perspective. Let's see the big picture. Let's make a plan. Let's bring this into form. And so this full moon makes a square with Uranus. Uranus, the ruler of Aquarius, right? So this square is about how do we make this shift? How do we move into the Aquarian Age, And it's all pointing, all this energy is going to Uranus with the T-square in Taurus. And Uranus and Taurus is about an infusion of new high-frequency vibrations into the earth, into our reality, into our form, into our physical form. But also, Taurus represents our value system, ruled by Venus, who Venus just went off the deep end a little bit. She has no idea what's going on. And so Venus is our part of ourselves. It's what we love, what we care about, what really matters to us. And we're confused about this right now, And maybe part of that confusion is because we need to completely rearrange. See, Uranus has an energy of radical change and shifting and revolution. And so it's we need a revolution in our self-worth. We need a revolution in our value system that makes up our whole society and everything that our whole thing is based on. That means that could mean radical shifts. And, there's definitely energy for this, in our financial systems. But really, we're talking about how we have come to value, we've been taught, programmed, and, pushed into a materialistic vein in this evolution. And then we value the materialistic things that we can see, touch, and feel, right? Except for that we're so much more than that. And when we leave this body, which we know we all do, come back and get another body, or maybe be done here, if you're lucky. But and as far as you can come back and volunteer, but not have to be here. It's a lot of the shift that a lot of these supernova souls are wanting to make in this lifetime. And so, but it's we can't take that stuff with us. And we've been putting our whole identity, everything that matters is about what we can accomplish and create, build up in physical form, and that actually doesn't have any, it's empty. You know, there's no wealth there at all. And the wealth that we have is our spiritual gifts, talents, our light, our energy. And these have all been demonized, actually, as these souls, light worker souls, supernova souls, have been targeted throughout Earth evolution. So maybe that's this radical shift in our self-worth of being like, oh, yeah, your light was rejected and it wasn't wanted here. But it's actually the wealth of the world. Get your act together, you know? Get your act together and start honoring the wealth that you have. You are, by definition, as a supernova soul, working in the abundance principle, true abundance. And how many supernova souls are struggling to survive financially, right? There's always that pressure, like, you know, I have to go work this job. It's not in alignment with who I really am, but then I got to do it to survive, you know? And now it's time to come into your true wealth. Because part of this Uranus magical revolution in Taurus is this wealth and self-worth and excavating your skills and starting to use them in the world. And the natural law of the universe that I've been shown again and again, and it's been proven to me and helped so many people, as you come into actually using your spiritual gifts and skills and your talents and these invisible talent, wealth, when you're really working with that, abundance, physical abundance comes. That's a law of the universe, right? And what we're doing is we're like, well, I got to go make the money to survive. And of course, it's understandable. That's just where we're all at, right? But it's like, we got to switch that around. And it's like, we got to do and be and work from our abundance principle. And then the physical abundance comes. Because the physical abundance that comes when you're not in alignment is not sustainable. You don't feel worthy of it. You know, you'll spend it right away anyway. It's not going to make you happy. And so now it's like, so maybe this is this square, right? It's okay. So the full moon in Aquarius, how do we get over this hump into the Aquarian age, you know? And it has to do with a radical shift in our self-worth and our value system on the planet. And we're here to lead the way. And how do we lead the way? We get out from the demonized, insignificant, invalidated, crazy light worker, conspiracy theorist, or whatever it is, right? And we move into the abundance principle. It's like, oh, this is a spiritual awakening. In a spiritual awakening society, you carry the wealth. And it's a complete change. So it's like, maybe that's maybe part of this time right now, because leading up to this full moon, we have these sweet transits of Mercury in Cancer and trine to Neptune out of its retrograde shadow, ready to get on with it, right? Dream a new dream. And then where we are actually receiving the blessings of this world to match the abundance that we are. And then Jupiter sextile Neptune, creating new structures that can better support our spiritual existence. And it's interesting because at the same time that the Jupiter is sextile Neptune, Jupiter is an exact square to Black Moon Lilith. Wow. This is for the last week of July leading up to this full moon in Aquarius. And this is saying that the new structures we need to build to better support the spirituality of who we are requires that we clean up that shadow garbage of that programmed shame, right? And the spiritual wealth that we are has been shamed and demonized. And it's like, yeah, that makes sense. Because if you don't want the society, if you want humanity to stay as slaves, and you want humanity to stay unenlightened, and they don't have access to their own power, then why don't you demonize the light? And then it'll keep people from coming back in and create a whole bunch of fear energy programming around it, you know? And this is what's going on. This is coming up huge for these supernova souls. It's an activating time right now because we've got the comet energies. We've got just so much sun, so much activation coming through in our sun that we haven't had access to. And it's like, whereas in the past in spirituality, be like, oh, I'm going to go do a bunch of meditating and activate. And now it's like, whoa, the activation's happening. And so it's bringing up subconscious fear. It's almost like that whole thing of you have to move to the new timeline in order to figure out what's keeping you in the old timeline. And it's like you have to move into these activation energies, and then the fear programming comes up. Then you find yourself trying to find ways to escape or hide your light or tone it down, because it's triggering a fear of being seen. It's triggering the fear programming that you can't handle your own power. It's too much. You don't have permission for that on the earth. All of this stuff, right? But it's like we can't find that programming until we get into, allow and receive a certain amount of this activation energies. And that's where we are right now. And then you move into the activations energies, you get bounced back down into the fear programming, and then you clear that, and you go back in, then maybe a new level. And it's the same story, I know. It's like back and forth between the old and the new paradigm. And here we are. That's exactly the energy of this full moon. It's like, oh yeah, full moon in Aquarius, Aquarian age, baby. Here we go. Let the sunshine in, right? And it's like, oh, go a little towards that sunshine. And then you got detox. You're back in your old patterns. You found out you're addicted to struggle and healing and processing and all of that. And you got all these loyalty contracts. And, so here we are, and that's the energy of a T-square. It's like, okay, what's going on? There's nowhere to go. There's stuck. There's a wall. You have to change directions, that 90-degree turn. We got to get around the corner. Maybe that's what this full moon is about. Like, if you want to go, let's go around, just let's do it together. Hold hands, go around the corner. We're going to do this. We're going to make it. Right. Now, the other thing that's going on that's really intense, and another reason why we need to very powerfully grab a hold of these positive transits around inviting more of the realistic dreaming, the living the dream, the entertaining the possibilities, right? That's the energy of these transits leading up to the full moon. And then right before the full moon, we'll start feeling, and it's exact for the full moon on the 3rd and 4th of August, is Mars in Aries, right? Where it's going to do this crazy retrograde in its first exact square with Jupiter, And Jupiter, that's not too far out from Black Moon Lilith. And this is what's going to be so intense about August, because it's like Mars is going to square all of the planets in the Capricorn stellium, or little series, right? Which is Jupiter, Pluto, Saturn. That's the order they're in right now. And so Jupiter, Pluto, Saturn, and then come up with Black Moon Lilith. So Mars, Black Moon Lilith conjunction, interacting with, it's exact for the Pluto square. So it's more evidence that the structures that need to be broken down is the hidden secrets and shame. That's collectively and personally. So we'll see what August could be intense. August definitely has some energy of revealing, and pretty much the whole Mars retrograde through the rest of 2020 might be about this, revealing some of the deepest, darkest secrets in our society that we have. Some people know are there, but most people have the blinders on about, and it's hard to look at, makes you sick to your stomach. But these deep, dark distortions that have to do with sexuality and stuff have to get revealed. Like, we got to clean up the garbage if we're ever going to build something new, right? Like, you're not going to go raise a building, and knock down this whole building and then keep some old boxes in the basement. Some old moldy boxes in the basement. You're not going to do that. And we're in that point. It's time to go excavate the hidden corners where these distortions live, because they can't go to the new age with us, and we have nowhere else to go but there. And that's kind of interesting energy. So Mars, so the energy for this full moon is Mars in Aries in its first square with these planets. So it means, so the retrograde season means that Mars is going to square Jupiter, Pluto, Saturn 3 times each. That's 9 really intense squares for the last 5 months of this experience of 2020. Whew. And Black Moon Lilith in the mix, right? And so we're having the very first energy of this. Mars in square to Jupiter, and not too far off from Black Moon Lilith, and Mars square Jupiter, Mars in Aries, getting ready to take a retrograde. Mars in Aries wants to go, impatience, the warrior, let's go, let's fight, enough talking about the Aquarian age, let's do it, right? And then that's exactly what the Mars retrograde is all about. It's like, can't go that way yet. Structures have to change. Jupiter, our light structures, our structures around light and possibility have to change. Pluto, our structures around power have to change. Saturn, the structures around structure have to change. So now is when we're really going to see the dismantling of this power structure, I think, the rest of 2020. So should be fun. Huh? And for you, the supernova soul, it's about dismantling your fear of your own power, your rejection of your power. You don't think you deserve your power. You don't even know you have this power. And yet it's why you live. Is this why you're living a half life? You're living like a dead person, hanging out with the ghosts? Because it's time to live. This is your time. And this is, Mars in Aries has got some fire. And then in square to Jupiter in Capricorn, it's like, yeah, but the physical structures of this world, it's like the more light that comes in, the more the control energies create structures to prevent that spiritual awakening from happening. And there's so much tension now. It's like, gotta push through. Gotta push through. And this is Mars impatience and Aries. Come on, let's do this, so I could sense supernova souls feeling this way, over the rest of 2020. You'll find yourself being like, you'll probably go back and forth between, I could see this like, oh my God, I'm activating. It's happening too fast. What's going on? I don't know how do I balance this and harmonize it? And then it's like, oh, why won't it ever happen? Why won't the world ever change? And that's where it's like a lot of these supernova souls, it's like, humanity, why won't you wake up? And it's like, that exact issue is our opportunity. We're getting squeezed. The star seed picture. Your seed is getting squeezed with these energies, the light, the activation, the DNA activation. It's like shaking. And yet you got, we're all part of the story is this fear programming that says that it's not safe to break out of that seed. It's not safe to be seen as who you are. It's not safe to fully express your light. And yet you don't have a choice because it's happening. That's a lot of this Mars retrograde. Maybe that's a helpful energy of this Mars retrograde to kind of harmonize, balance, and sort out what needs to change in our life in order to really support that activated self and that new higher spiritual path that's so different than the way we've been living. That's the only thing that makes this astrology make sense. It's the only thing that makes that Venus retrograde make sense, is that, yeah, we gotta just completely rearrange our whole existence, because who we are and where we're going and what we're here to do is so different than what we could even have conceived of 6 months ago or 6 years ago, or wherever we're at on our journey, It's radical. And that's what this, it's like, it's a radical change, but with the fixed T-square, it's kind of like we got to stabilize in this radical change. So this is everything this next kind of 5 months is about. It's about activation and trying to stabilize. It's about activation, how to deal with the fear programming. Activation, got to clear the shadow. Activation, got to stabilize, like the dance. It continues. And so very, very powerful full moon, starting a new chapter of this Mars activation, and a different kind of adjustment, the Venus adjustment, and this is a Mars adjustment. Mars in Aries. Aries is a cardinal sign, and so the cardinal sign activation, Venus will be moving into Cancer, also a cardinal sign. Got Chiron in Aries, got Black Moon Lilith in Aries, and so cardinal signs are starters, right? So it's an energy of like, we're trying to do something new, even though it feels like we keep getting sucked into the dark ages. And maybe that's part of it too, like knowing and understanding the process. The closer you get to the light, the closer you get to freedom, the closer you get to your truth and your permission for your power, the more those forces are going to try to suck you back in. And that's the Mars retrograde feels like it has that glitchy. It's like, in order to move forward, you got to go 2 steps back, get a running start, and take another half a step. fun. Okay, so hang in there. Let me know how you're doing. I look forward to seeing you perhaps for this live activation. This is going to be leading into the exact time of this full moon at 9 a.m. Mountain Time. It happens at 9:59 a.m. Mountain Time, so it's an hour before the actual full moon. Really great energy for us to get in there, really set a vibration. And of course, if you can't make the live broadcast, that energy is encoded and you can tap into that energy, get your questions, answers, get your activation whenever you can watch the replay. And so I hope to see you there at that live activation, Monday, August 3rd, 9 a.m. Mountain Time in the U.S. And I'll see you there on the next update. Until then, I'm Adrienne Elise. Namaste.